Good evening, gentlemen. I'm going to talk to you on Ukraine. Why Ukraine? Because a very important thing, very important piece of news, almost as important as what's happening to Donald Trump. Well, gentlemen, the news in Ukraine is that Joe Biden has played his aces, but doesn't seem to be winning. And the Russians have taken control of the air and they are winning. And the latest report which I've got is that the city of Bakhmut has been captured by the Wagner Group. They have hoisted their flag there, and now the Russians can move forward. We'll have to see what happens now. But as it stands now, the pendulum is swinging in favor of the Russians. That's the point. And I'm reminded that Joe Biden is really not in a position to do anything much now. When I think of Joe Biden, I'm reminded of that old nursery rhyme, Nat King Cole. Nat King Cole was a merry old soul, and a merry old soul was he. And he called for his fiddlers three. It reminds me of this man, Nat King Cole, and I related to Biden. Biden is like the same thing. He just not knowing what it is except he's fiddling around, got three fiddlers. One is the British, one is the Germans, and some East European country. They're playing the fiddle, but they're not doing anything in particular. They haven't been able to halt the Russian offensive. That's the first thing. They haven't been able to push the Russians back. And at the same time, he's the same man, this Joe Biden, who presided over the most humiliating defeat in American history from Afghanistan. Now, what happened there, I don't have to tell you. Trump had negotiated the agreement, but the implementation was with our good friend Biden, and he couldn't do it properly. He lost nerve. With the result, the Americans ran away. First, the soldiers left the weapons behind, left their spoils behind. And all those weapons in the hands of the Taliban, and they displayed them just 2 days back in Kabul. I don't think the American general staff, all those four-star generals sitting there and saying American power is very great, we are very powerful, can feel proud of this. Can they? I don't think so. Well, gentlemen, the battle in Ukraine, coming back to it, the Russians hold the skies, the Iranians are come full scale on the side of the Russians. And they're supplying them drones and rockets. And the first thing which could happen to Americans is that some of the NATO generals who have been predicting a long fight are going to be proved wrong. My reasoning is now that the Russians are winning, and the Americans will try all desperate measures to stop this winning streak. And that will lead to more escalation, and then, you know what I've been saying all along? The Third World War. But if the Russians win and they prevail, and Zelensky, which is most likely is, will throw in the towel, says, well, thank you, I've done my bit, I'm going back. If he does that, there could be peace for the next 25 years. Otherwise, I'm afraid the American hegemony is going to go in Europe, because now the small Polish countries of Eastern Europe, the EU, the Poland, Hungary, and Finland, all have realized that you can't fight the Russians. The tenaciousness and the strength of the Russian army is pretty much more than the small European countries, which are just equivalent to a few districts of India. Gentlemen, the point to note here is that these countries have got so frightened now that they are not sending the fighter planes to Ukraine. They are sending them there now. There was a lot of bravado earlier, but the bravado is gone because Putin made it very clear after he transferred the nuclear weapons to Belarus and positioned them there that I am not scared to use these weapons, and you are the people who will suffer. And that will be the end of the civilization of Europe. The Germans should better forget that they are going to fight the Russians again. They suffered a catastrophic defeat, and one is reminded of the tanks battle between the Russians and the Wehrmacht in the plains of Ukraine at Kharkiv and Kiev. It was a devastating war where thousands of tanks took part, and net result was the Germans were pushed back. And now that the Germans have given a few Leopard tanks to Ukraine, do you think they're going to win the war? These Leopard tanks? No way. Russia holds the skies, and they are bombarding Ukraine, destroying the infrastructure, and Zelensky must be now a little bewildered man. If he's intelligent and he loves his people, which he doesn't, I'm very sure about it, he would have asked for a ceasefire. First of all, he wouldn't have got in the conflict with Russia. What was the reason for his conflict? I think there needs to be a tribunal to be set up to really check up whether who is the war criminal. The International Court of Justice issues warrants against Putin, but the man they're ignoring just because an American ally is Zelensky. 10 million refugees, thousands of Ukrainians killed, country devastated, no infrastructure, converted to a landlocked country. What have they gained? What has Zelensky gained? I want to know. I wonder I could talk to Zelensky and he can tell me what he has gained. Nothing. And what have the Americans gained? Nothing either. Their calculations have been proved wrong. All the four-star American generals who have, in any case, led America to defeat at so many places have not been able to win here also. I can't recollect after 1945 any war which the Americans could have won, and made a decisive result. People talk of Saddam Hussein being overthrown. Well, what's the result now, friends? You know it yourself. No American can walk the streets of Baghdad alone. America is persona non grata in Iraq. They are now sitting outside, dancing away. And even Turkey is not doing their line. And there's a rapprochement between Iran and Saudi Arabia. And they've established diplomatic relations after 7 years. And one man did it, and that is the Chinese president, President Xi. I'm not a man who favors Xi because China has taken an anti-India policy and they're going to pay for it very dearly. But as far as America is concerned, they know now it's a life and death struggle with China. I have some information that the Americans are getting ready for a war with China now. And it is on the cards they're going to do it. But it's on the cards whether they're going to win or no. That's again a very difficult proposition. And we'll have to wait and see. But I'll come to that in my next video. But at the moment, as far as Ukraine is concerned, Russians have the ascendancy. They have moved cock-a-hoop. They've captured an important city. And if can drive and capture Odessa, the morale of the Ukrainian army is going to tank, is going to fall. You just watch it from me. I have been in the army for a long time. I know when the morale of the army collapses, they just collapse. And Ukraine's army is on the verge of collapse. This is what I understand. They may fight for a few more weeks, but overall, it's a lost cause. And the best thing for them would be to catch this man, Zelensky, bundle him up, send him to England. He's bought some properties in London and all that. Go and stay there. Relax. Well, gentlemen, I close now. This is an update on the Ukraine war. I hope you like my assessment. And in fact, this is the first nail in the coffin of the American empire. That is a fact. I close now, gentlemen, and say, Jai Hind, glory to India. If you like this channel, please subscribe to it, share it with your friends, give your comment. I'd love to hear the comments if you have any. Goodbye and God bless.